You're listening to the Late Night Football Show with your host, Rohit Singh. That's me. On this show, we talk about some of the most seriously silly topics from the world of football for your entertainment and enjoyment. Please remember that the show is BYOL. Bring your own laughs, since we don't have the budget for a studio audience. Happy listening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. We're going into match day 8 of the Premier League, and we're doing a match reaction for that today. The games are coming thick and fast. It's the season is coming along, but this is our last match day preview show for a while because it's international break next week. So we won't be talking about this for a while, so you won't have to endure us. But we're joined today by Ayush. Welcome back to the show again. We needed to have at least one fan from Liverpool or City, so we have Ayush here to talk about Liverpool for the big game today. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we have Zeehan as well joining us once again. Zeehan, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure to be here, brother.
Yes, no, it's not going to be as intense as the El Clasico one. I think, yeah, it's like an easy, calm weekend for Chelsea. For some teams, at least, it's an easy, calm weekend. But I mean, the word unprecedented gets thrown around a lot, and it is unprecedented because this is, I think, our first preview show where we don't have a Manchester United fan. Not we don't have you have me, but we don't have actual Man United fans. So I think we're all a little bit disappointed and kind of hiding right now because nobody knows what the future holds. But yes, it's an interesting one. Before we get started, let's take a quick look at the Premier League table because I was looking at it and it's really interesting the way that it's poised. I don't know if you guys have had a look at it, but Liverpool currently atop, no surprises there, 16 points. But Leicester, Tottenham, and Everton are the ones who complete were second, third, and fourth. And then you've got Southampton in fifth, and they could go top if they win today. They're playing today actually, so if they win, they go top of the table, and they could stay there if results go their way. It's a weird season. I mean, you could easily have Leicester going top by the end of the week. We could have Leicester being top of the table. We could have Arsenal. We could have Tottenham being top of the table as well by the end of the week. So it's a lot of interesting subplots that are going around this weekend heading into the national break. But with all of that, let's actually talk about something else. We're going to start off with the first game, and it's poetic. That's the first game. It's Everton against Manchester United, and this is unless something drastic happens in the Chelsea Sheffield game, I think this is going to be the big story for Saturday. At least this is going to be the big story for tomorrow because whatever happens in this game, one way or another, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting plot lines that come out of that. But Gian, how close is Oli to being sacked? I think at this point, there's so many conflicting rumors coming out. There's talk about the United talking to Pochettino, but then United came out saying, you know what, no, we support Oli. I mean, that's the dreaded vote of confidence that he got. But then there's a lot of strong rumors. I mean, how close is Oli to being sacked, according to you at this point? Just on your opinion.
I mean, come on, let's approach something here. I mean, no employer is ever going to directly say that, no, you don't have our vote of confidence. I mean, Ole is at the wheel right now. So I don't think no matter how bad things get, I mean, just a week before Mourinho was sacked at Chelsea, Abramovich said that Mourinho had the vote of confidence. And then he lost to Leicester, who eventually won the league. And then he got sacked. So I'm not going to really talk about the vote of confidence, but I mean, as much as I enjoy seeing United in 15th or 16th, I'm not sure.
Yeah, at the moment they're 15th.
They aren't.
No, yeah,
they are not a team
moment,
that. Yeah. They aren't a team that's supposed to be in 15th. I mean, this is probably as bad as, or even worse than our third season in Chelsea, Mourinho's second time coming. United are losing left and right, 6-1 to Tottenham. I mean, they beat PSG 2-1 and then they lost the next match. I mean,
no, they drew.
I really don't get what's.
No, they beat Leipzig and then lost to Arsenal.
No, my bad.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
That's the match.
We lose already enough. Please don't add imaginary losses. I mean, we're trying to collect.
No, I mean the result against Chelsea. I mean, it's not because I'm a Chelsea fan, but Chelsea do have a decent squad. I mean, they drew that, and that was a good result. But then they lose against Arsenal. I mean, it's like a downward slope. I mean, you beat PSG, you draw against Chelsea, and then you lose to Arsenal. I mean, I don't know. You're going backwards. I mean. The problem with United isn't that they're playing bad or it's that this player, that it's just really inconsistent. And honestly, I do feel that Ole, I don't know. I mean, last season he went down to 7th in the second half of the season, but he finished third, not even fourth. He finished third ahead of us. I mean, I thought Chelsea was guaranteed to be third. So I don't know if he's going to pull that off in the last moment too. But truth be told, I think United are going to stick with him for a while longer. They're not going to give him the sack this soon. United seem to have much more patience than at least Abramovich does. So yeah, I think he's here at least till February. At least till February.
That's very bold. I definitely don't think that. Before I give my views, Ayush, Zeehan is very optimistic saying February. I think that's way too optimistic to say February. But I mean,
I want him to stay till February.
Well, of course you do. Of course you do. This is that the whole thing, right? But I mean, it's interesting because there is talk about other managers. Once you start getting reports of other managers, that's when the issues, because then it starts affecting the players, it starts affecting the backroom staff. What is what is it right now about United that they're so inconsistent? Like if you can go, I mean, it's only a week ago that we were all talking about United beating Leipzig 5-0, and how and there was all these things on Facebook about how they were going to spank Arsenal. I thought that was over the top, but still, and now suddenly it's all talk about him leaving. It's what is it about the club that incites so much extremes of opinions?
Because I mean, United is obviously the most followed team in the world, and lots of glory hunters or as such their fans. So they are only based on the results. I mean, these fans, they only care about the results. These glory hunters. I'm not talking about the faithful fans. Every club has those, but United especially known for having glory hunters, and these are the fans which create the media buzz that everything is not going okay, and so they start creating the chaos, and once the results don't follow as according to the plan, things get out of control, and media also gives more fuel to the fire, and that's how things change. Because United is definitely, they can't lose their fan base. I mean, the club's economy and everything, the Glazers, they are
now. It's literally as the fans.
Yeah,
no trophies coming. So
if the results are not going okay, at least the money income should be kept coming. That's how the club is run right now under Glazers. So right now the results are not following according to the plan, and that's why Ole has come under such scrutiny. Because it's not that one cannot be said that he has not been given time. Also, I mean, he's now well under one season, complete one season. He has been given money which he has wasted on.
See, that is where I would dig. I don't think he has been given the money which is wasted. And I mean, obviously, as a fan, we know what the inner workings are, which you may not be aware.
No, I mean, no, you buy Donny Van Dijk, Donny Van Beek,
Van de Beek, get a Donny Van Dijk to cover two positions in one.
No, let's mess up with the Dutch. There is a Van, so Van Beek. Yeah. So he's not playing. I have not seen anything which any spark like Jota is doing for Liverpool. So let's cast a doubt on the scouting also. I mean, how they are signing the players just based on the names and everything, and the scouting is lacking, or what the manager doesn't have a clear view of what strategy, what tactics he wants to implement on the pitch. So nothing is coming together.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect storm. Like we said this at the end of the transfer window. I don't know if you watched that episode. I said effectively United have sacked Solskjaer. They basically told him that they're going to sack him because I mean, when you think about it, it starts with Haaland, who was supposed to come in January. He didn't come because the club refused, because Ed Woodward or whoever was in charge said, we're not going to agree to the demands that the agent has placed. Now, whether that's right or wrong is a matter of opinion. I know there's some people who said that was right. There are some people that say it was wrong. That's fine. But that didn't happen. I know some people laugh at the suggestion that Haaland would come to United. But when you look at the factors behind it, it was a very big possibility. They didn't get Jude Bellingham. They did again. That's, I mean, I don't know, what went on there, but that didn't happen. They didn't go for Sancho again. You can say whether it's right or wrong, whether it's overpriced or not, but that was his signing. They didn't give him that. He wanted Jack Grealish. They didn't give him that. They got him Donny Van de Beek. Fair enough. You could say that the level is same. Fair enough. He wanted Koulibaly last season. They said no, and then that's why they went for Maguire. Which is ironic because if they had paid 90 million pounds for Koulibaly, he would be much better than Maguire at 80 million pounds. But that's how the club works, right? 10 million pounds saved, 10 million pounds in dividends, right? So it's the issue is I'm not saying that Ole isn't to blame, because his team selections, and we're going to talk about that, his team selections have been problematic. But but he hasn't necessarily been back to the extent where the players that he wants, he's getting players that the club says, you know what, we can't get you this, we'll get you that, but do it. But you want a player, we'll get you a player, but it's not necessarily the players that he wants. I mean, when you go from Haaland to Igalo and Cavani, I mean, seriously, I mean, you just have to think about what the club's priorities are. But this is a conversation for another day. I mean, what we're gonna do, there'll probably be an Ole sack watch after tomorrow, based on my prediction. And so we'll talk about all these things. But let's talk about the team news, because it's important, and we have to talk about Everton as well. Let's start with Everton, the team news. So, Ayush, the Jordan Pickford, Carlo Ancelotti has confirmed he's going to start. How much of a boost is that for Manchester United that Pickford is going to start? And I'm asking you this question because I know what you're going to say about John, because I know you have very, very interesting views about Jordan Pickford.
Yeah. It depends upon if he injures, he does a rugby tackle on Pogba.
If he injures Maguire, I think most people will be happy
Maguire.
if he goes and injures Maguire.
Yeah.
I think most United fans will be happy if he does that.
And most people won't be if it does on Bruno. So
that might be the issue.
So it depends on his mood. He will make something silly. Definitely, he will make the game about himself. Pickford, that's his idea of goalkeeping. So he will definitely try to grab the limelight or media attention by making a howler or making some kind of saves also. So yeah, interesting choice from Everton also.
Yeah.
And they have every chance of. Everton has a great chance to win on against United. I mean, Arsenal had a poor record against United, and they managed to rectify it last week. And similar thing goes for Everton also.
Well, Everton actually.
Pickford, Pickford is not a bad keeper. I mean, he can make a difference also in the right way also.
If you take out the opposition's best player, then you're making a difference in the right way, aren't you? No.
So it's a win-win situation for Liverpool fans, actually. I mean, Manchester United versus Everton, it's a game which I don't mind if something red cards or yellow cards flow. It's an entertainment.
It will be interesting. I think that would be an interesting selection. Zeehan, no Richarlison, he's going to be suspended, but they'll have James Rodriguez back and they'll have Luca Digne back. His suspension was reduced from 3 games to 1 game. So both of them will be back. They weren't played in the last game against Newcastle when they lost. So how big of a boost it is for Everton to have those guys back in the side, because they don't have a big squad as such. And those two players are really key to the way that they play this season.
Well, they obviously don't have the full team back, but Rodriguez coming back has to be a big boost. I mean, especially Carlo Ancelotti's comments last week. I mean, I think you remembered them too. I mean, one point he's like, he's not there. Then he's like, oh no, he is here. I mean, he got confused himself. So at least the good news is that Ancelotti isn't confused anymore. He's like, yes, he is back. What more do I have to say about Rodriguez? He did it in Madrid. He's doing it in Everton. He comes in and he has 5 goal contributions, assists and goals combined in his first 4 matches, something like that. Yeah. The last few games. The last few games have not been in Everton's way. We all expected it to come crashing down for them, but I do think that these players coming back, it brings back a sort of stability. And frankly speaking, the predictions will come later, but I think this might actually lead to Everton winning the game.
Yeah, I think it's good for them to have these players back. I think Richarlison not playing might be an issue, so because they might have to start Alex Iwobi in that position. I don't know whether it will be Iwobi or somebody else. So that might reduce their potency a little bit, but I think other than that, they look stacked. I mean, they have a very good midfield. So I mean, it's just they look so good in all areas now. It's wonderful. It's interesting how much changes in the summer. But let's talk about Manchester United, because I think rightly or wrongly that will be the big news. And in some ways it's because Everton are so settled. They know what their best 11 is, that you kind of know what to expect. With United, the issue now is that there are so many question marks over certain positions. It's just baffling. So Alex Telles is now available. He had COVID. He's tested negative. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed that he was available. Ayush, would you risk him for this game, even though he probably won't have training? He probably won't start, but if you were Ole, would you risk him for this game, knowing what he offers? Or would you say, you know what, let's just stick with Shaw for this one? Or bring him into a back 5?
Yeah, I will try to risk him. I mean, he has to start at some point, and Everton are not a big threat right now because of injury to Richarlison, like you told. I
Mhm.
mean, they can handle, and Rodriguez is also back. I mean, he's not a pressing machine, and if United show some vigor, players like Fred and Matic, they show some vigor, they can definitely stop Rodriguez from pinging the ball over to Calvert. I mean, only Calvert Lewin is the biggest threat to United, and I hope that hoping that Maguire will handle him with ease. But
No,
there
he
is,
won't.
I mean, because Shaw doesn't offer anything going forward
Yeah,
from what I have seen. I mean, he's a
he doesn't
square
offer
and a
much.
round peg, not offer much. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he did get
neither
an
does.
assist, but yeah, he doesn't
I
offer
mean,
much. Not as much as Telles. Yeah.
yeah, and his pace has also gone down. I mean, Shaw used to be fast player, but now and he doesn't dribble. I mean, his dribbling skills are also very poor. I mean, that doesn't play 1-2s from what I saw against Istanbul. I mean, if you can't perform against Istanbul, I don't think you can do anything against Everton either. So yeah, it's worth taking a risk against Terrace, and if he can get some 60 minutes, 60, 70 minutes of good football from Terrace, so it would be a start for him for this season.
Yeah, yeah, that would be one of the questions to answer. It's funny as well. Telles, I think, is one of the probably along with Van der Beek, is probably the two players that United got right at business. They got it done, got Telles late, but it was the right piece of business. But he's not available, and he might not be available to Solskjaer at all. So it'd be funny about that. But so the issue I think is we talk about midfield and starting and the front three, and I mean this is where it gets controversial because there is allegation, there is accusations of favoritism. I think he does have favorites. I think Ole does have favorites. He does play certain players even though they don't deserve to be played. I think the big question will be, should Harry Maguire be dropped? And I don't think he'll be dropped, but he should be dropped. I don't think he will be dropped. I think he will start. So then you have to question: is it going to be Lindelof or is it going to be Tuanzebe? And I think it will be Lindelof because you cannot, he took out Tuanzebe at halftime, so he's not gonna get him in this game. So it's going to be Lindelof and Maguire again, sadly. Zeehan, would you? So if you're gonna go with the team, would you go with the 4-3-3 or would you go with the diamond midfield? And because then that if you're gonna play a diamond, you can play Matic, McTominay because he wants to play them. Obviously, it's pretty obvious he's gonna play those two. But if he plays a diamond, he can play Van der Beek and Bruno, or you take out Van der Beek and you play Mason Greenwood. I would personally prefer to bring Van der Beek in, even if he has to play 4-3-3 and play him on the right, because I don't think Greenwood has really reached the level that he had reached last season. I think it's whatever the issues are, he's probably had some issues and he's not reached that level. So I would go with Van der Beek. But what would you go with? Would you go with the 4-2-3-1 and put Greenwood, or would you bring in Van der Beek?
I, I I was about to say this a while ago. Thankfully, you're still on this topic. For me, like you said a while ago, Everton have a packed midfield, a very strong midfield, and I think since the game is at Goodison Park,
Mhm.
even though fans aren't there, we've still seen home teams playing well, like a home team. Um, I think Everton will bring the game to United, and a lot will be riding on Hammers' shoulders tomorrow. Uh, so I think what's crucial for United is getting that midfield right. And honestly, I don't know why I feel like he might go with a five-man back again because it in a way it worked against Chelsea. To be honest, like I've said before, they actually did dominate the game against us, and he's going to want to be cautious. I mean, we've seen it. He was cautious against Chelsea, and that's why he went for that five-man back. I see him doing that again. With respect to midfield, I think he's probably going to anchor Matic just to hold on to Rodriguez. Depends on how much he wants to implement a man marking system, but I think Matic will be key, and I think just going to be tasked with just sticking on to Rodriguez. Cavani does not look like starting anytime
No.
soon. He's probably not match fit yet because before coming to United, he didn't play since March, right?
Yeah, I didn't
I
play for
think
six,
that's
7 months. I think even before March because I think he was injured.
all
Yeah.
right. So before
Yeah, he
March,
starts anyway. I haven't.
I heard it was March, maybe a substitute appearance or something.
Yeah.
So that was like what 5 months out, and then he comes to United. So obviously he's not fit yet. There's no doubting his qualities. So once
And I
one
have doubts about
was
his.
thinking up front, you obviously have to have Rashford. And well, yes, you're right. Greenwood might not have reached those levels, but I mean, what's his age? 18, 19?
Yeah.
He's a teenager. So he is obviously, then we've seen his potential. I do see him putting Greenwood and Rashford up front.
Not Martial. You want to go with Martial? Because he's back now. So
well, he just came back, right? So
he played
you
against
just throw him on.
So
Yeah, but we've seen his performance against Istanbul, haven't we?
He
With all due
scored a
respect,
goal.
I'm sorry, but
he scored a goal. So
I mean, come on, the goal. Anderson scored a brace against who was it against Liverpool?
yeah,
this
but I
4-0,
think what Martial offers, Greenwood does not offer, which is hold up play. So I mean, I don't think Martial, Rashford, and they are going to start. So I guess the question really is he going to go with the back five, and then who do you take out? I mean, it's just the issues. He needs to get this right because his job pretty much depends on it, in my opinion. And I think what combination he goes with will determine a lot of things. But the thing that I don't want to see is I don't want to see Pogba starting, and honestly, I don't even know if I want to see him coming off the bench because I really do not think he offers at this point. I don't think he's offering a lot. I think he probably just needs a break, like not even starting, not even coming on in the game, just like being away. But I mean, that's just difficult to imagine that won't happen. So I mean, we don't know what he's going to go with. I think he might eventually go with the 4-3-3 with Matic, Pogba, Bruno starting together. Maybe like this is my last stand, so I might as well play the team that won me all these games. But it is going to be interesting. I think Van de Beek deserves a start after Istanbul. I think he deserves to start, but I don't know. I have no idea. And this is the thing: we just don't know what team he will pick because there are certain players that for him they need to start, no matter what. And that I think that's what's causing the issue for him because when you take those players in, then there's not a lot of room for others. But anyway,
Pogba is such a big question mark for me. I don't get what happened to his potential. He was so amazing at one point. I really don't get it. He's still so talented, but attitude problems maybe. Yeah, Pogba. I mean, he could have been the best midfielder in the world. I was so jealous of United when they got him. I'm being honest. But I don't know what happened to him. He was linked to Real Madrid for a very long time.
He still is. I mean, he still wants to go there. I think it's just for whatever reason it just hasn't worked out. I think culturally maybe it hasn't worked. Maybe he hasn't gotten used to the fact. I still feel that he hasn't gotten used to the fact that it's not Juventus, that you cannot just turn up for certain games against like a Verona and Spezia and expect to find that they'll roll over for you or that they'll give you all that space. That teams actually fight for the ball and do all that. I think and this is not a criticism of Pogba. I think this is just there's something he probably hasn't gotten used to, doesn't expect. That's one of the reasons why no other Premier League team is ever linked with him. It's always, Real Madrid's, PSG's, because those are the leagues where you get that space in those games and you can probably express yourself a bit more. Whereas in the Premier League, it's not always that easy. But, that's again a conversation for another day and a conversation probably for another manager to have. That will happen. But let's get a move on here because I know we've got a lot of games to talk about.
Up till February.
Spend a lot of time on this. Ayush, who's going to be the key player for you? For Manchester United, who's going to be the key player for this game?
For this game, Bruno and Martial. These two are my pick. I saw the match against Istanbul and Rashford was very rash with his shots. He was blowing from 30 yards into Rosie. I mean, it's frustrating to see him doing that against every opponent, in fact. So he has got potential, but return of Martial is a good boost for United. He can definitely do damage against weapons. Highline, if they play highline or everything, he has got good close control. And a good corner shot, so he would be a key. And so yeah, these two guys, Bruno and Martial.
Zeehan for Everton, who do you think is going to be the key player?
Rodriguez, no doubt. Rodriguez. He gets those passes in, he gets those throughs in. United are in big trouble.
I think I'll go a little bit different. I'll say Fred and Allen are going to be the key players because who wins that midfield battle is going to be key. To who wins this game, and I think Allen, gives them that steal, and maybe Doucouré as well. Allen, Doucouré, and I guess I'm assuming that's going to be Fred and McTominay that's going to start. So Fred and McTominay versus Allen, Doucouré, I think will be the key battle. Who wins that one? I think may very well determine who wins the match. And United need to win that midfield battle. I think that will be very. Otherwise, they'll get overrun, and it could get messy. Score predictions, Zeehan, what's your score prediction for this one?
3-1 to Everton.
Okay, I'm surprised you give a goal to United, but fair enough. I think one goal for United makes sense. Ayush, what do you think?
I mean, come on, United do have a good attack. I don't. They aren't given enough credit. They have a good attack.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm being a bit harsh. I mean, they haven't scored in the last two games, though, to be fair. But yes, I am being a bit harsh. Ayush, what do you think is going to be the score?
I have heard some fans saying that whenever Ole's job is on the line, he manages to trash teams. So I'm going for a 3-0 win
For United, 3-0 for
for United.
United.
For
Yes, I've
United,
heard
yeah.
those
Wow.
theories as well, and I think they're absolutely baseless and absolute crap, and it's not going to happen. No, it's not. No, it's actually absolutely baseless because the way they talk about it, it's like when he gets like a draw against Liverpool, or the only time I can remember him being under pressure was I think when the Liverpool game came last season, he got a draw out of it, which people celebrated like a victory because it was Liverpool. The only other time that I can think that he was there was probably after Burnley, but then they signed Bruno, so the pressure went off. I can't really think of another time where it was the case of his job that he was going to lose his job and he put on and they put in a monster performances. I mean, there's always rumors, but I don't think he's ever come this close to being sacked other than those two games that I can think about. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to lose. The only thing I'm not sure about is it's going to be a scrappy 2-1 defeat, which Everton will get, or will it be like I can easily see this being a blowout where if they score an early goal, if Everton score an early goal, I can see the head dropping. I can see the mentality of the players going like, you know what, here we go again, and they could easily be blown off like 6-1 or 4-0 or something like that. So I'm not sure, but Everton are going to win. I think that's pretty much confirmed that they are going to win. I think I think I'll go with 3-0, but 3-0 to Everton. So I'm going to go
I'm,
different.
go-
3-0 to
I'm
Everton.
going 3-0 to United with
Yes.
one goal from Bruno from penalty spot and two for Martial.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, will
Wow.
they get a
Contrast.
Yeah, I know. No, I think it. I think yeah. It's just. I think a lot depends on the team that he selects. I think if he selects the one thing that I will say is I'm not Ollie in, Ollie out. I'm kind of over that whole business. But if he doesn't give a chance, if he doesn't start Donny van de Beek, and if he doesn't start drop Maguire, one of those two at least has to happen. I know Maguire will probably start, but if both of these things happen, where he doesn't start Van de Beek and he starts Maguire, I think I will start to veer away from that support. And if the team loses, I mean, I want to put that. If the team wins, then it's fine because obviously team comes first. But if the team loses and he does those two things, then I think I'm going to veer my support away because I mean, then at that point you're like kind of like blatantly looking at what you got to change something. And you can't just keep relying on the same players. But anyway, interesting game that one. We spent a lot of time on it, unfortunately. But let's move on. Let's get on to the next one. Chelsea against Sheffield. After all of that, the calm, the easy one, Chelsea Sheffield. I think if there's ever a guaranteed 3 points this weekend, I think this one might be it, Chelsea against Sheffield. But Zeehan, what a turnaround from Lampard. From talking about his defense being an issue, we're talking, I think, ahead of the Chelsea game, about how they had an issue with headers, how they're defensively suspect. They've now got, 6 clean sheets in a row? I think they've got to keep, I think 5 or 6, I think 6 clean sheets in a row that they've gone on. It's an incredible run. I mean,
Mendy has 6 clean sheets in 7 games.
7 games? Oh, did this? No, they're not conceded since. Who was the? Wasn't it? No, I think they kept a clean sheet against United. They kept a clean sheet against Sevilla before that.
Yeah.
And then there was another 2-4.
Yeah.
This was the 5th. Okay, fine, maybe 6 and 7. Okay. Well, I can see count 5. I don't know if they kept a clean sheet before the Sevilla game. I'm not sure. I'd have to rely on you for that, but probably not. I think that was the draw, wasn't it, with Southampton 2-2 or 3-3, whatever that was. Maybe that was the result. But he's turned around from that 3-3 game against Southampton, which I watched, and when I thought this is that they got away with one, they've now kept clean sheets. I mean, it's credit to Lampard for identifying and fixing that defensive problem, though. He's really come into his own with that.
Credit to Mendy for coming in and displacing Kepa.
I know, why did that happen? Why did that happen?
Well, of course, I mean, with I won't even say with due respect to Kepa. I mean, he's been messing up so much. It wasn't just his errors. I mean, I think he had the highest ever, or at least highest in the last season or this season, goals to shots ratio at 55%, and almost any other keeper had it below 50%. I mean, that is a horrible statistic. I mean, he's facing long shots too, so he's even letting those in. And Mendy, I read somewhere that his hands are longer than usual, which was kind of instrumental to saving the Rashford shot against Man U. Maybe that's a factor of why Mendy is doing it so well. But one thing I'll have to say is, yes, people aren't talking about this enough, but Kante is adjusting to Lampard's tactics much better right now. I mean, just last season, Kante was almost frozen out. Yes, he was injured, but we didn't see the Kante we've seen before, or at least the World Cup winning Kante. This season, he's been very fluent. He's shoring up the midfield. He's intercepting balls left and right. Against Manu, you saw it. I mean, nobody could make any passes near him. Uh, the defense is obviously doing well. Thiago Silva is integrating into the team. Yeah, I do see them. If the next question would have been, do they keep a clean sheet against Sheffield? I do see them keeping it.
I was not going to ask you that because Sheffield are blunt. I mean, they really suck offensively. So I mean, it's they should keep a clean sheet against Sheffield. I mean, it would take a monumental mess up for them to concede even a goal against Sheffield. But it's interesting you talked about Kante, Lampard, Kante adjusting to Lampard. Is it also a case of Lampard understanding what are Kante's strengths now? Where maybe he was earlier thinking about playing him as a ball-playing midfielder, like, box to box, whereas that's not his role. His role is really the defensive shield. And maybe he's understood that, and now he's just, what, you do your thing, and we've got other players. We've got Mount, we've got Havertz, we've got other guys who can, carry the ball if we need them to. And it could be a combination of both guys understanding what they need from each other, but having Kante in form definitely makes a big difference for sure. Ayush, just a quick note on the lineups. I don't think there is a lot of topics setting in Chelsea. Very settled team, very well, controlled. The only issue is that we know that Mendy's fit, so that's the sad news on that front. I'm kidding. But Pulisic, his injury is not as bad as it's feared, so apparently he could be back. Would you risk him for this game, knowing that Havertz is out? Would you want to risk him for this game to bring him in? And if you do bring him in, then it's a straight swap. But if not, I guess you'd have to bring in Hudson-Odoi. Or would you bring in Hudson-Odoi, or would you put Mount as a winger?
No, I don't think it's worth risking risking Pulisic for this match, because Sheffield, I mean, they can easily win 1-0 or 2-0. I mean, Chelsea have a lot of firepower in their arsenal. I mean, they can play any formation without a Havertz also. Mount can play at number 8 and number 10 also, and they can go with Werner at as a winger. And Ziyech is also back. I mean, Ziyech and Werner can play on the wings, and Mount can be as number 10, and they can go with Tammy or Giroud. If they want to go with experience, they can go with Giroud, and if not, Tammy can also do it. Yeah. So Chelsea don't have to worry much about this match. I mean, they have to worry, but I can't see it on the paper.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like one of those. I mean, it should be a straightforward win. I mean, football is not like that, but it should be a straightforward win based on form. Zeehan, no Kai Havertz as mentioned. Would you bring in Jorginho or Kovacic, or would you bring back Jorginho, or would you bring back Kovacic? Who do you think is the better option in this game?
You mentioned Havertz in place of Havertz, or just
because Havertz is out with COVID.
Midfield.
Yeah, Havertz is out with COVID.
But the Havertz does not play in the position that they do.
It's true. But they'll push Mount as the number 10, I guess, and then they'll probably have to bring in Jorginho Kovacic, right? I would assume it's nowadays a 4-3-3. So Havertz and Mount probably as the two central midfielders. So you're basically just looking for a central midfield partner for Mount. And I guess it would be one of those two, because I don't think Billy Gilmore is back yet, so I don't think they'll risk him. Who would you go with, or would you go complete left field and maybe change something? But the
fielder, I like Ayush. I do not risk Pulisic because he's just back, and with due respect to Sheffield, I mean, they're yet to keep a clean sheet this season. I don't think we need to risk him. Hudson-Odoi on the wings,
Yeah, or maybe Werner on the wings and Tammy up front, as also Ayush mentioned. The thing about Chelsea is you've got lots of good options, and I think that's what any manager would want. It's about having options. Sometimes there can be too many options, but I think for Chelsea, I think they've played it right. I think they've done so well. But it's wonderful. It's good to see. Zeehan, key player for Chelsea. Who do you think is going to be the key player for Chelsea? This one.
Well, I expect this to be a rout. I honestly expect the attacking players to all have some fun, get some assists and goals. But if Mount's playing centrally, we've seen how influential he can be. So I'll go with Werner. Werner. He's scored 7 goals and assisted 5 in his last 7 games for club and country. So Werner. He's definitely getting on that score sheet. Might grab an assist too.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to say Thiago Silva. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because this game is very similar to the game that happened midweek between Manchester United and Istanbul. And where, one team is obviously inferior. The other team is on a high, very confident, looking to get goals. And then what happens? 10 players go and stand in the opposition box waiting for something that's not going to happen, and they leave the striker. So you need a defender who's going to keep, calm and not be complacent
Hey,
and
our striker, by
organize
the
the
way,
defense.
Dembaba.
Yes, that was Zembaba. So yes, I know. So you want to make sure that you don't get into those traps. So I think Thiago Silva will be key just to organize the defense and make sure that there's no complacency or no overconfidence, and make sure that they do the defensive job. Because if Chelsea are on it defensively, they'll win this game easily. If they're not, then there could be a surprise in store. So I think Thiago Silva for me will be key to organizing that defense. I'm just going opposite. I know we all like to talk about the attackers, but just I'm providing a word of caution based on what I saw, which I hope I never see again, but don't know what saw on that game, and we haven't even talked about
Zuma has got a great recovery pace also. I mean, Sheffield doesn't have the pace to hurt Chelsea, even if they play high line also in this match. So,
well, Dembaba doesn't have great pace, and we had to unzip it. Great pace doesn't matter
I
if
mean,
one person is in the halfway line and the defenders are in the opposition box. I mean, that's just. I
yes.
mean,
about
sorry.
the Dembaba goal. I mean, I've seen that same goal. If you remember the Torres goal in 2012 at the Camp Nou, it was very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But in that instance, Barca were desperate. They had like what 3 or 4 minutes left, and they needed a goal. United were not losing at that point. They were 0-0. That was the first
It
goal
was
of the
just,
game.
yeah, it was a calamity whereas nobody's ever seen anything like it in like the 12th minute or 13th
Yeah,
minute of the game. I said it. I think they were complacent, they were overconfident, and I think what happened was everybody sort of went into the box. It was a corner, so you expect the center halves to go in, but you don't need the
yeah.
fullbacks to be staying so front up. And I think it was just a comedy of errors. The Shaw had no business to be in the box. He's not going to get a header, so I don't know why he was in the box for a corner. Van
I have
Bissaka,
absolutely
he
no
had
idea.
just won the corner, and he was actually tracking back, but Bruno was being over smart and tried to play a quick corner. The ball never went in. I mean, there's a whole reason. There's a whole tactical analysis of how that goal happened, but I don't want to get into it. I think we've talked a lot about Manchester United already today. I think most of the fans, the people are watching this, they're probably like, oh, this is a United thing. Let's just go now. So trying to get back here. But Ayush, your score prediction for that game. What do you think? Chelsea Sheffield. What do you think is going to be the score?
4-0 for Chelsea.
Zeehan?
I was actually thinking the same as him.
4-0?
3-0, 4-0. I'm kind of stuck.
You can pick 4-0. You picked 3-0 last. No, you picked 3-1 last time. So yeah, I mean, you can stick with 4-0 or maybe 3. Well, I mean, Chelsea used to have 3, right? So it should be 3-0. The Chelsea sponsor obligation is 3. So it seems to be 3. I think it's going to be 2-0. I think it's going to be a routine 2-0. But I think what's going to happen is that Chelsea are probably not going to exert themselves a little bit. They'll probably get 1 or 2 quick goals, and they'll probably, because they don't have all of their first choice players, I think they'll just probably be very organized and it'll be like a professional. It's not going to be like those 2-0 wins where you get lucky. I think it'll be a very routine 2-0 win where you get a couple of goals and then you kind of take it easy and then just see the game out. I think that's what's going to happen. They might very well go and get 3 or 4 goals, but I think it will be 2-0, I think, since the right. And I also think Sheffield were very good defensively against City, aside from one lapse. So it might very well be a case of Sheffield saying, we'll just park the bus and we'll take a 2-0 defeat. We'll try to keep our goal difference low and we'll go from that. But let's move on to another relatively calm game. We're into Sunday now. So these are Saturday games. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it so far, if you enjoyed all the discussion we've had, and remember to subscribe to our channel because we are going to do match reactions for both these games, Man United against Everton and Chelsea against Sheffield. We're going to do match reactions for them. So if you subscribe, you'll get notifications as soon as they come out because they will come out very soon after the games are over. So please subscribe so you can get notifications for that. We are at 112 subscribers right now, so please help us get to 120. Would very appreciate your support. So we're now going to Sunday games, and the first one, West Brom against Tottenham. And interesting one, again, I think should be fairly routine. West Brom actually lost to Fulham. So if you lose to Fulham, then, there's only one way you're going, and that's down. Because, I mean, Tottenham, the thing about Tottenham, Ayush, is that they look settled now. They seem like they have their team in order. They know the way that they want to play. Jose has got his message across. I mean, this is his second season, so things are looking up right now. But it looks like they just look settled. They just look like they know what they have to do every game, and they just go out there and do it now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tottenham are the dark horses in the title race this season. They are slowly and building up the pace. I mean, they are right up there with the top teams right now. The results are going in their favor. And they look like they because Bale, I mean, the forward line is obviously firing on all cylinders. Son, Kane, Bale, Lucas Moura. They've got a lot of power on Dembele also, and at back also they are with Højbjerg and I mean, defensively also they are doing well, and their fullbacks. I mean, I have been very impressed with their new fullback from Yeah, Legion. So he has been doing a great job also, and so they have good cover in all the departments, and they have a solid keeper in Loris. I mean, very reliable, and the center back partnership is also. I mean, they have good. So the team is definitely there for Mourinho. I mean, he can't now mourn about the team selection and the team he doesn't have. So that's in place now. It's all about extracting the best from them and keeping Kane, especially Kane, healthy and for the entire season. If we can maintain the fitness for Bale and Kane, these two guys, so maybe Spurs have a good chance. So it's a start. I mean, match week 8 only. So, but definitely they will make a easy match of West Brom.
Yeah.
One can.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Mourinho not mourning. This is second season. The mourning doesn't start now. It starts next season. This season is fine.
Yeah. He's mourning about Liverpool and City. I mean, I saw that he's mourning about penalties. I mean, Kane bought a penalty.
Oh, those are things. He's not going to mourn about signings. He'll mourn about other clubs. That'll happen. The player mourning starts next season. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Maybe things will be better this time. We don't know. I know Zeehan's watching is a Chelsea fan. He's like, oh, don't say bad about Mourinho. But speaking of Reguilon, Zeehan knows how good Reguilon is. He should know because the ex-Real Madrid player. He should know how good Reguilon is. But Zeehan, on the note of title challenges, I mean, Ayush mentioned him being Tottenham being dark horses for the title this season. It's interesting because what we know is that if Tottenham beat West Brom, they will go top of the table if Liverpool lose, or they will go further ahead of Manchester City. So come what may, if they win, they are going to lose or draw. Actually, whether Liverpool lose or draws, Tottenham will be top because of better goal difference. So what we know is that this is a good chance for Tottenham to actually, get close to one of the two teams, or get close or get far away, whatever way you want to look at it, from one of the two teams that are considered to be title challengers. So that it is interesting because it does make them in some ways, they are going to be title challengers if they keep that intensity up, because they do have a good team, and we have to start thinking about them in the conversation for that now, don't we?
Definitely. I mean, they have the third, fourth. Harry Kane is one of the top 5 goal scorers and one of the top 3 assist makers, if not the top one. And that Kane's Son partnership, oh my God, it's so beautiful to watch. I mean, Kane is assisting, scoring, Son is doing the same too. They're easily title challengers. And let's be honest, they have Mourinho as their manager. No, this is not a Chelsea bias. I mean, I am kind of angry at him for selling off De Bruyne and Salah to other clubs. But yeah, I mean, Mourinho is a serial winner. He wins wherever he goes. Even with United, with the squad he had, he won United the Europa League and the League Cup. There's still trophies. And Tottenham is a good enough team. They're kind of balanced, They have very decent players all around the pitch. Reguilon, you've mentioned it. It's not just Real Madrid. I mean, Chelsea were in the race to buying him, but we didn't get him. In my honest opinion, I actually preferred him over Chilwell, despite Chilwell's Premier League experience. Centre backs, decent.
That nobody wanted. I think that was the issue. But Spurs obviously didn't mind it. So, yeah. The buyback clause.
That was the main problem, basically.
Yeah.
Because Spurs got him for what, half the price that we bought Chilwell for, but the buyback we didn't want it.
Yeah, it was the buyback.
Yeah, I mean, we're not buying him to make him for Real Madrid. So,
yeah.
The midfield is strong. Everything. I mean, Mourinho might get a player or two, maybe an attacking midfielder, but his team seems solid.
Yeah.
Easy win for them against West Bromwich. Let's see where they go from here.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. Ayush is going to be a key player for Tottenham for this one.
For a key player for Tottenham, definitely Son and Bale and Kane are on fire. But I am eager to watch Bale once again. I mean, if he gets a start, I mean, it will be a great fun to watch Bale. So
I don't think
Bale starts.
I don't think he will start this one. I think he'll come off the bench because he started in the Europa League, and it's West Ham is not a game you want to risk Bale and a Bale injury for. So I don't think he'll start. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are eager to watch HBK in action. I find that one.
Yeah, right.
They want to watch that one. Zeehan, what's your predicted score? You already predicted Tottenham will win. What do you think is going to be the score?
I think I'm going with 3 way too much. There's some sort of a 3 in my head right now. Again, 3-1.
3-1. I think 3 is a very safe bet of goals to put, right? And 4 becomes like a, oh my god, they've been scoring a lot, and 2 becomes like 2 negative. So 3 is like a very safe bet for these kind of games. I think that's what. And 3 is like I know it's fine. 3-1, 3-1
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-1 to Tottenham.
Ayush?
4-1. 4-1 for.
See, Ayush goes with 4 a lot because like he's gone 4-0. He's got 4-0 and then 4-1 now. So Ayush goes with 4. Ayush, like, yes, fine. It's all attacking football. It's the Premier League.
I mean, Ayush is more aggressive. I mean, let's have it. More goals, more destruction.
Well,
I want that same from United also. I mean, same passion from United also. Hoping.
We'll see how that one goes. I think it'll be 4. I think it'll be 4-0, 4-0 to Tottenham or West Brom. I think they'll. I think West Brom. I think the one thing that might affect them is the fact that they lost to Fulham, and I think that will be a confidence breaker for them. They'll have to find that from some because that's essentially a relegation 6-pointer that they just lost, and that really will affect their morale a lot. So hopefully they can pick themselves up. But I think Spurs will have a bit too much. It'll probably be 4-0. But knowing Mourinho, it might be a 1-0 classic 1-0. Get a 1 goal and then defend for the next 80 minutes. We don't know what Mourinho can do, but I think it'll be 4-0 to Spurs. All right, and we've covered that. We're now going to talk about the big game of the weekend, the one that I suppose everyone's excited about. Manchester City against Liverpool in early title clash. In some ways, I mean, City are a bit further down the table, though they do have a game in hand. But one interesting clash, and there's a lot of interesting subplots to talk about if we have time, but we'll see how much we can cover. But let's start with the team news. Let's start with Manchester City. Zeehan, I know you're not a Manchester City fan, but being a Chelsea fan, you guys are pretty much close enough. So I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But because Ayush is a Liverpool fan, so we'll have you like sort of being like a Man City advocate, Man City advocate. I want to say supporter, but an advocate for Man City. So we'll treat it that way. But the team news, the good news is that Jesus is back for Manchester City. Aguero's are injured, but Jesus is back. He made his return in the Champions League. Would you start him or would you keep Ferran Torres? Because Ferran hasn't done too badly when he's played as striker. Would you start Jesus or would you keep the front? Like, would you keep Ferran Torres where he is from?
Ferran Torres, because one, he's actually been on form and he's doing pretty well, and second, he is just back. So maybe an appearance from the bench, but I don't start him.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you go to the midfield, I mean, that's a pretty straightforward answer for a start with Ferran. But, with the midfield now, so here's the interesting thing, midfield trio. Who do you start as your 3 in midfield? And then if you were to change, would you take out Mahrez for Bernardo Silva as a winger? And then you bring in maybe Foden or Gundogan in midfield alongside, whoever else? Or would you stick with maybe Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne and Rodri in midfield and put Mahrez on the wing? What do you think is the better option for City in this one?
Well, if we're talking about attacking midfield, I mean, there's no choice over De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Even if he's not fit, De Bruyne. Even if he's injured, De Bruyne. The only way I don't start him is if he's broken his bone or if he's red carded. So De Bruyne up front, definitely. And Rodri seems to be doing a pretty good job. So yeah.
Yeah.
DM Rodri and
is that third position?
Sorry?
Would you go with Silva? Or would you go with Foden? Or would you put both of them and take out Mahrez and play Foden or Silva on the wings?
Foden, to me, a little inexperienced. I mean, obviously, he's a great talent. And being an admirer of England myself, I hope he shines. But I go with Bernardo Silva. Let's play this safe. Liverpool are doing really well. And we have to focus on one thing, that Liverpool have 3 center backs out, so that defense is leaky. I say make that midfield creative, put some pace on the wings, just get the ball to the strikers. You are getting those goals. So De Bruyne, Silva, and Rodri for me.
Yeah, and then you start Mahrez as a finger. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just Mahrez is not informed this season. But that might be one area where Pep tries to tinker. Maybe he might tinker. We know he likes to tinker in the big games, so he might tinker there. And I think it's worth a shot. But I mean, I get your point about the pace, about needing pace in the front line, and maybe that might be what he opts for eventually. Certainly worth considering. I mean, he might even play Ferran on the wings and place a striker. We don't know. We just don't know what he will do. Ayush, Liverpool team news. Some good news. Naby Keita is back. He made his return, so he's going to be back. But I guess the bigger news, I think we were talking about James Rodriguez is not the answer to the question of who is the best signing of the season so far. That is Diogo Jota. He is the best signing of the season so far. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best signing of the season so far. And he's looked so good. He's got to start this game. He has to start. So then the question becomes, if he's starting, you're going to have Salah, Mane, Salah, Mane, and Jota will be your front three most likely. So do you start Firmino as number 10 and go with the 4-2-3-1? Or do you bench Firmino and you go with Naby Keita, Wijnaldum, and Henderson as your midfield three? What if you're the manager? What do you do in this situation? Because benching Firmino is a big deal if that happens.
Knowing Klopp, I think he will go with a bit more secure and a bit more tried and tested formula of Wijnaldum, Gini, Hendo, and Naby Keita. Because it's a away game against City, so City will have the majority of possession, and we need midfielders who can battle and who will hustle and harry their players. Because if we based on our creativity, and if we are too direct, I mean, City will not give us possession. So playing Mane, Salah, and Jota, I mean, it will become a bit too direct. The team will. It was a good tactic against Atlanta, because Atlanta are known for playing too big of high line, and we exploited them beautifully. But against City, I mean, with their kind of possession, and it will be difficult if we play with the Jota also. So
with Firmino?
Yeah, I will stick with Firmino for this match at least, because he's known to the pressure. He knows what City brings on the table, and he has some strengths which obviously clearly makes him different from Jota. I mean, taking nothing away from Jota, he has been on great form, and he will definitely make an impact from the bench and in the second half. But for start, I would prefer Firmino for this game.
Well, I mean, that's, if you can go out confidently and say Diogo Jota after scoring a hat trick, he's going to be on the bench. I think that is Liverpool in a nutshell, isn't it? That's that strength in depth and that confidence to be able to say that. But it's going to be interesting. I think, I guess it makes sense to go with the midfield three. But then the question is who starts in that front three. And I suppose Firmino might get that nod. Defense, though, I think I think it's a bit overblown. I think Liverpool's defensive issues, I don't think they've been that bad than they normally are. I mean, yes, they are missing Van Dijk, but they do have Alisson back. So I think it should be okay. Centre half, though. Who's going to be your pairing? So Joe Gomez is fit. Joel Matip is now fit. So do you go with Gomez and Matip, or do you bring in Nat Phillips or Reece Williams? I mean, the answer is quite obvious, but knowing that Gomez has made a few errors and Matip is not fully fit, is that a consideration, considering that both Phillips and Williams didn't do so badly when they played? Would you consider that, or would you go Gomez and Matip? Let's play it safe.
I think the Gomez Klopp has started to believe in Gomez. I mean, he's showing that he can organize the defense. So Gomez has done that brilliantly once after the injury of Van Dijk. So Gomez is definitely
last weekend though.
Yeah, but okay, I'll give him benefit out of. I mean, we don't have choices actually. I mean, Reece Williams is too young for this game. I mean, he's just 19, 18, so I don't want to, because there's a big chance we might lose this game. So I will start with Nat Phillips. He was very good against the last match. He was solid, and we need something, because City have big center backs, so they can be threat on the set pieces also. I mean, with Diaz, the new sign Diaz and Ake and Laporte, they can score from set pieces. So Nat Phillips has that physicality in him, which Matip doesn't have. I mean, he's very injury prone, and even with his height, he's not known for scoring, shielding the defense as properly as he should. He's a solid center back, but probably this match is a bit too soon for him, for Matip.
Okay.
So I will go with Phillips and Gomez as center back.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not a bad choice. But I feel like he might want Matip for this game. So if he's fit, I think he will get the nod, even though we may say no. He probably might, but we shall see. What's interesting though is that this game, Liverpool have not had the kind of season they had last season, but they still top. So make of that what you will. City seem to be inconsistent, varying from one game to the next. Zeehan, if if Liverpool win this game, do you think that is it for City in terms of their title challenge this season? Like, or is it too early to tell?
When you asked me that 4 weeks ago, I said it was too early to tell, but we're at least almost a third way into the season.
A fourth.
I know.
Yeah, no, yeah, not 38.
Well, yeah.
Eight into eight
Yeah,
into
one
five.
fourth.
About a fifth actually. 8 into 5 is 40, right? So a fifth into the season. Yeah, 20%.
Uh,
Correct math.
Liverpool win at Etihad. The race is over for City.
Yeah.
It's just as clear as day there,
Mhm.
because more important than the points difference, it's going to be the morale boost that Liverpool get. Liverpool might go on a run that they saw last season. I mean, this has not been talked about yet, but Liverpool have conceded the most goals in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Uh, and albeit that they are still top of the league, which is why, like you've said, Tottenham would go ahead if Liverpool drew on goal difference.
Yeah.
This is simply because of the number of goals they've conceded. But Liverpool beating City at the Etihad, they'd have a much bigger confidence boost, and City almost have their entire squad. Liverpool have at least a third of the squad out, and if they still can't beat Liverpool at home, the mental breakdown, I don't think Pep Guardiola is going to be able to take it out of the title race if you lose this match.
Yeah, it just feels like a must-win for City, particularly with the points gap that is already there. They really need they don't want that to happen, so they'll need that. Ayush, is it? I mean, it's unfair to say this, but it sometimes feels like Liverpool versus City is almost like intensity against artistry, right? Where you got Liverpool's intensity, they're very high pressing. Not that they're not artistic or creative, they are, but it's always that intensity. Whereas City always have this artistry. They are more about trying to find spaces, and not to say the City are not intense. They also have like really good pressing. It almost feels like that perfect marriage, if you will, of styles in some ways, which makes them so thrilling. But it does feel like a case of like which one's going to win out on the day. Will Liverpool's intensity be affected because of the players that they don't have, or do you think that the players that are coming, they already know what's expected of them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Klopp will have the team talk. They will be fired up. That's for sure. I mean, Liverpool, one thing which cannot be put on this Liverpool squad is that they are mentality monsters. They have been showing with past 3 seasons now, and so they will be up for it. But yeah, City definitely has a edge, I would say, because of Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, that they have that X factor in Kevin. So he can ping any solid through ball and with the crosses. I mean, just too much of quality. So if we can control Kevin in this match, we have a solid chance and to maybe spring up a surprise. And I mean, the squad is also shaping up with Shaqiri and Jota. They are match fit now, and they are game changers now. So if things are not going according to the plan, we can definitely change. Unlike last season when we had to depend on guys like Origi and Minamino who are not up to the mark, let's say. So now we have got proper substitutes who are different, who bring different strengths to the game, and who are a real threat. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. So once Thiago and we have all the strength. I mean, minus when Dijk, so we look good for at least top 4 season.
Oh, well, that's just and we don't get to say that. It's good for top 4. So that's being way too modest. But Zeehan, who's going to be the key player for Manchester City for this game?
City.
Yeah.
De Bruyne, and I actually, but to be honest, no, I actually have to put it on the defensive side. Liverpool's defense might be league. I mean, they conceded the most number of goals in the league, and they're still top, which means their firepower is immense. So the defense of City, the centre back pairing has to be at their best.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. Yeah. Ayush, key player for Liverpool.
Key player for Liverpool, I think it will be midfield battle. So Hendo will be the key. I mean, if he
player of the year, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah,
We'll still talk about that.
and so Diogo Jota, and if he starts, he is on fire. So it's a high chance. I mean, he can start the game, and he has every right to think that he should start this match. But he brings different qualities. I mean, it's not like he doesn't press. Also, I mean, he brings so many qualities. So he was. I didn't know that he would be such a great. Once I started watching him more closely, I can see why we went after him. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's fun. It's weird. I mean, I think the thing is, Jota was always rated very highly, as was Raul Jimenez at Wolves. I think it's just that nobody ever thought that Wolves would sell those guys because they're pretty loaded themselves. So they didn't look like they were going to sell. But Liverpool got a coup, really. I mean, that player. And here, there's another team that needs a right winger. Is waiting for one for last 3-4 years, and they still can't find one. So I mean, I'm that's just weird. But no, it's interesting. I think what will be important. I think, as I said, it's like there's one team that has a little bit of a patchy defense, which is Liverpool. They're coming up against a patchy attack, which is Manchester City. There's a irresistible attack, a really good attack, which is Liverpool, against the defense that probably is at its best point now, which is Manchester City. So it's really a question of which is less patchy and which is better. I just feel like City. The thing is, and we're going to talk score predictions, but I just feel, in my opinion, that Liverpool's attack was too good for Manchester City's defense, and I think City's attack isn't necessarily primed right now to take advantage of Liverpool's patchy defense. So, but that's just my opinion. I know everybody else has different ones, but Zeehan, what is your score prediction for this one?
I think we're going to have an open and interesting match. Klopp never parks the bus, even though should have. I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna say 2-2.
2-2. Wow.
I'm top of the league. 2-2.
Well, maybe, yeah. Well, Leicester could be top if they win their game. So it's not necessarily Tottenham will go top, but yeah, Tottenham will go above Liverpool if they win. But yeah, Leicester will go top if they win because they are ahead of Tottenham at the moment. That's just a strange season. That's just what we're talking about. Leicester. Ayush, imagine that Leicester and Brendan Rodgers being top of the league. Ayush, what's your score prediction?
I feel that I think maybe Liverpool has a good chance of snatching a victory. I mean, because the fans are not there. If City fall behind, we can definitely use our pace on the counter. They will be pushing forward. So I feel that we have a good chance of winning, and I'll go with a 2-1 or 3-2. 3-2.
3-2.
I'm going with for Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've not picked the number 4 for this one, so that's a change.
Finally,
I think it'll be. Yeah, I think I'll be a bit.
I think City can blow us over the park. There's a great chance that City can blow us under the water. I mean, they can go win big also.
Yeah,
because
it could happen. Yes. I think I'll be a bit brave and I'll say it'll be 5-3 to Liverpool. I think there'll be lots of goals in this game. I think Liverpool will just outscore City. It'll be 5-3. It'll be 4-3, and then at the end of the game there'll be a break and Liverpool will score a goal. That's my prediction. Will be 5-3 to Liverpool. That's my prediction. I just feel like City are not. They're not as good as they are. I don't know if they can win this game. It's going to depend on how they approach it, and it's always about mentality that we talk about. It's how they approach this game that's going to be key. It's not to say that City can't win it, but it just feels like Liverpool at the moment, they know how to win games. Like it's disappointing and sad to watch every game when you're like at the 85th minute and you're like kind of just waiting for the shoe to drop, and you're like, oh my god, it's not going to drop, and then it drops. It's kind of like that with Liverpool, like you just know that they're going to pull it out from somewhere, and that's why I always said, even in that Villa game, it was 2-0. I was like, this is not, this doesn't mean anything. But then they went and that's basically what you need to do. You need to score 7 goals to Liverpool. That's what you need to do almost. But I think that's what it's 5-3 to Liverpool. That's my prediction. All right, we got one game left and we are kind of running out of time. So let's breeze to this one. It's Arsenal. Nobody cares about them. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm still bitter about last weekend. But Arsenal against Aston Villa. This could have been a top 4 battle about a couple of weeks ago, but Aston Villa kind of have settled down on their form a little bit. They've lost 2 games, conceded 7 goals as well. They're kind of getting back to where their form should be. And Arsenal, Ayush, Arsenal and Arteta on the way up. It's starting to look that way, isn't it? Where Arsenal is slowly climbing up. They're like getting some decent results. They're grinding out wins when they need to. Looks like they're getting back to where they used to be, which is top 4.
Yeah.
Obviously. Not the
I mean, Arsenal have definitely changed their philosophy from completely from their past. Their one-touch football, so that's now they are most solid on the defense. And they will be seeing lots of 1-0s and 2-1s victory this season. So Arteta is trying to base his team from defense, and Luis and Gabriel, the Brazilians, are doing a good job for them.
Yeah.
And but Leno is also a solid goalkeeper. So their fullbacks are also doing okay. I mean, so yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely Arsenal are on the up, and they are taking advantage of other teams' mistakes and inconsistency, I can say. So against top six, you won't fancy Arsenal, but every bottom teams they are doing a good job.
Well, I mean, there's a big six team that they beat, so I don't know if you would not fancy them against one big six team. Although they're not top six team, but they are a big six team, so to be called. But it's interesting. I think I just a very quick segue before I come to the team news. It's interesting when you talk about the top teams, you talk about how their fullbacks are doing well, and there's one team that is not doing well, and their fullbacks are not doing well. I mean, it's interesting how the whole role of fullbacks has changed, hasn't it? I mean, when you talk about all the big teams, all the other five teams, you can say that their fullbacks are really good, very offensive. And then there's Manchester United, which doesn't have offensive fullbacks. It's sad to see, but it's interesting how the game has changed. Zeehan, quick news about Arsenal. So, would you start Willian or Pepe for this next game? Because Willian has had a good start, but it's kind of fizzled out a bit. Pepe looks to be a little bit on the air. Would you start Willian or would you start Pepe for this one?
I'd go with Pepe because of his pace, but what Willian brings is the experience. He's obviously been with a much bigger team. Uh, the only team to talk about in London. Anyways, but I go with Pepe in this match just simply because of what you've just said. Willian seems to have slowed down and not as bad as Pogba, but maybe he just needs a game or two as a break. His age has come up to him too, and let's be honest, Aston Villa is, well, they're not a team that's going to beat Liverpool 7-2 every day. So they're slowing down too. Pepe could use the experience. He's a young player. Let him shine.
Yeah.
William, can you take a match or two break?
Just, Pepe is 25. This is the point of time when Lingard is young. Memes started coming out. So I think calling Pepe young now, 25, I think he might be the new Lingard, being young. You said 25, 26 already. But I know what you mean, though. He's a bit of experience, yes, for the Premier League.
I mean, he's much younger than William. That's what basically I was going for.
Yeah, that's for sure. No, I'm just taking the Mickey out of Arsenal fans here. Would you start? David Luiz is back. Would you bring him in, and would you take out Rob Holding, or would you keep?
There was once this meme. I think Arsenal were just about to play Chelsea in the FA Cup final last season, and the meme was like, do you expect the David Luiz that you saw against Manchester City or the David Luiz that you saw against Manchester City? I mean, the one they lost 3-0, it was basically because of him. And then the one they won 2-0 in the FA Cup semi-finals, that was also basically because of him. I mean, my point is that when he's good, he's probably one of the best defenders in the world. But when he's not, let's just say he's just not. So, but I've seen him playing very consistently good. I'm obviously not following Arsenal matches the way a fan would, but every time I've seen him, especially in the highlight videos, he looks very solid. And Arsenal the results might be going their way, but he seems to be a player to miss nowadays. Yeah. Yes, I integrate him back into the lineup as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's the back three I think suits him. I mean, I think that's what it is. They could keep Holding and then push Tierney to left wing back and possibly take out, I guess, maybe not play Saka or maybe rest someone. Maybe play Saka instead of Willian and then, play him up front. And so then they can do that as well instead of playing Pepe. So there are options for us, and I think that's the key. Ayush El Neni, someone who, is was very much behind for a long time. He's suddenly doesn't he? Like, it looks like a different player. I don't know whether it's the formation, whether it's Partey, whether it's Arteta, but he looks a different player now. He looks like one of the undroppables at this point. Like, he's got to start every game for Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to him, Elneny. I mean, he was not in the frame currently, but he has been given a chance by Arteta, and he has done something right. I mean, he's training well and he's not doing stupid mistakes like Zaka, and also he's keeping it simple, which is what Arteta wants from his team, not to concede stupid free kicks and give up possession. So he's doing the basics right. So he's in the team right now. He's not doing anything fancy, but he's doing the job which is asked of him. Mm-hmm. So and Gabriel has made a big difference to their defense. I think he's the captain. He's the one who's marshalling the defense. So they've got a solid triangle behind. I mean, the Leno and Gabriel and El Neni. So defensively they are sorted out, so they can go think more in the front manner. So Luis is one who can give the diagonals to the wingers from behind, so which Holding cannot. So if Luis is fit, he's the one who starts for me, because they have got Gabriel who can cover up for his mistakes also now. Like
Yeah, well, because they'll play
Mustafi,
three centre half, so I think they'll have enough to
yeah.
cover Lewis if he makes any mistakes. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's one of those games which you can expect Arsenal to slip up in against Aston Villa. It's one of those banana skin games, but you'd expect Arsenal to have enough to push Aston Villa away. Gian, who's going to be your key player for Arsenal?
I expect Arsenal to go full out attacking here. So Lacazette seems to be in form. He is available for the match, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Lacazette.
Are you? Yeah. All right. Ayush, what's your score prediction for this one?
I think 2-1 for Arsenal, because their philosophy has changed. I mean, they want to keep clean sheets, and because they don't have much creativity, they lack creative midfielders, so they will score and then stay behind and play on the counter. So 2-1, I think.
Yeah.
Should be
Yeah. It's not
the
going to be very
score.
high scoring, I don't think. That's what
Yeah.
Arsenal do these days. Jihan, what's your prediction?
2-1 to Arsenal. No more threes. I don't see
Well, two
Arsenal
plus one
scoring
is
those
three,
threes.
just so you know. 2 plus 1 is 3, but no, I'm just kidding. I think, yeah, I think it's a safe bet. I think it'll be 1-0 to Arsenal. I think it'll go, yeah, it won't be a high scoring game. I think it will be a cagey
Yeah.
affair. I think, yeah, some might just nick it with the odd goal. 1-0 to Arsenal. I think that's what I will say. 2-1 is also a fair result. It could even be 3-2, but I think I'll be too optimistic. But I think 1-0 sounds about right. But Aston Villa could win this one as well. I could easily see that happening. But I think,
Yeah, Aston Villa got good players. I mean,
yeah,
Grealish is on fire this season. He's
yeah. As is
he
Ross
will.
Barkley.
Yeah, Ross Barkley is
Ah.
he
Loaned from a certain club in London.
Agent Barkley.
Yeah, Ross Barkley's been good as well. So they do have good players. I think it's their defense, which is a little bit of a wobbly issue at the moment. But or yeah, it could just be a case. I mean, they are missing a few key players as well, Aston Villa. But yeah, I think it'll be KJ. I think we 1-0. All right. Anyway, that concludes our preview for this weekend's games. And there's lots more happening around the world of football. Lots of other games. The Klassiker is happening this weekend as well. Borussia Dortmund against Bayern, which would have been a big deal a while ago, but I mean Bayern just look on a different level at this point. I think it's difficult to even make a case for any other team in the Bundesliga at this point. But that one will be an interesting one to watch as well. But we will be here with the match reactions for the Arsenal game, the Tottenham game, and the Manchester City Liverpool game as well. So please keep a lookout for that as well. As I said, like and share this video if you enjoyed our analysis and our predictions. And before we go though, Ayush and Jian, a very quick question for both of you. Ayush, if you were to pick 3 players for your fantasy Premier League team, which would be your 3 players for the fantasy Premier League team this weekend? Must picks.
Must picks are Harry Kane, and I've gone with Aubameyang, and other Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne. Okay, yeah. Jihan, who would be your 3 picks?
Warner, because of his stats.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with him. De Bruyne, and goalkeepers actually do matter a lot. Mendy seems to be keeping a lot of clean sheets, but I didn't want to mention Mendy because I'm mentioning 2 out of 3 Chelsea players here. But yeah, goalkeepers do get you a lot of points, and constant clean sheets are going to get you points. So
yeah,
Mendy.
Yeah, you want to pick a goalkeeper that has a good chance for getting clean sheet. I mean, the golden rule always is not to pick players from your own team. That's my rule. But I mean, I never won a fantasy Premier League competition, so what do I know? But those are your picks. If in case you're still building out your fantasy teams, those are the picks that you can rely on from Ayush and Jihan. Ayush did get his prediction right for one of the games in one of our previous shows before, so he knows what he's talking about. I think Jihan also got a prediction right from in one of our previous games. So keep an eye out. These guys, they know what they're talking about. So you can rely on them for Premier League team picks if you need those. But yes, I mean, definitely thank you for that. And smash a like if you enjoyed their predictions, and also subscribe to our channel if you want to get notifications for future prediction updates as well, and also for future Premier League fantasy Premier League team picks if you like that. We are at 112 subscribers, as I mentioned. So it'd be nice to get to 120. Let's see if we can get to 120 by the end of the week. As you know, Ayush and Zeehan already subscribed a long time ago. So, I mean, you can, if you like them, you can also follow in their footsteps, not just with the predictions of the Fantasy Premier League team, but also our channel subscription model there. But we thank you for your support. So we'd appreciate it if you could do that. All right, that concludes our preview show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with a lot of videos, a lot of match reactions. I think then the first one will be interesting that we do Manchester United against Everton. How that one goes, I think we'll probably set the tone for the rest of the day. But we shall see. I think I don't think anything will top that unless Sheffield go and beat Chelsea. I don't think anything will top that. But we'll be back tomorrow. Have a good night or a good day, whatever time you're watching this, and enjoy the games. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much, Ayush. Thank you so much, Zeehan, for joining me. Really appreciate the insight, the analysis, as always. And we'll hope to have you back again soon in the future. But thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, Rohit. Thanks for having us back.
All right, take care, everyone. Have a good night or day. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to that episode of Late Night Football. We need your help to grow this channel, so if you've been enjoying the show thus far, please do like and subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, drinking buddies, fellow football fans, and anybody else you know or don't know. We'd really appreciate it. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook via the links in the description below and spread the word about us. Take care.